Hey, girlfriends, welcome back to the Girl Talk podcast. We have a guest in the studio with us today. I'm so excited to have Ashleigh Marlowe, and she's married. Her name is Kelso. So we've got Ashleigh Kelso. Yeah, I call her Ashleigh Marlowe all the time, and I never even knew her before she was married.
That's true.
So I have no excuse. So Ashleigh Kelso. But I am so excited to share with you all on the Girl Talk community, Ashleigh. Ashleigh and I are, I would say, newer friends, but from the moment we had our first coffee together, it was just like meant to be. And I'm so excited about this friendship and to bring some exciting topics to you guys. So the first one that we're going to talk about, and we'll catch you guys next week too, so stay tuned. But this week we want to talk about the birth order. And it's a book that's written by Leman, and it's a detailed book.
Very detailed.
But why do you think it's important, Ashleigh?
So I never really thought how important it was until my mom and my sister, they've talked about it a ton lately.
Okay.
So we're actually at Goodwill, and I stumbled across it.
Really?
Right, which, hey, bargain books, I like that. So I picked it up and started reading it and just overwhelmed with how important it actually is.
Yes.
What it reveals about your personality and how knowing your birth order and what that means, how it affects your relationships with your coworkers, your family, even understanding why your parents raised you the way they did.
Yeah.
What they went through when they were kids. So it's just to gain better understanding and how to put that into action.
Yes. And it's a very detailed book, so I totally recommend. I listened to it on Audible. Ashleigh picked it up in the thrift store, so you can find it anywhere. But it's called The Birth Order Book by Leman. And it's very interesting. Like, both of my parents are firstborns.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so when you look back in our history, we have a ton of firstborns. It's very interesting.
Wow.
And you can see, like, the character traits are very similar, obviously, in the firstborn, right?
Oh, yeah.
What is a firstborn? Like, what are their character traits that they have?
Sure. So I am going to say as well, 2 firstborns in a marriage is very, very hard. So just because they both like control, and to be able to both have control is hard. So a lot of conversations need to happen.
Yeah.
And we'll hear a couple celebrities that we know who were both firstborns, and maybe that's why their marriages didn't work.
Oh, no.
We'll get to that in a minute. But basically, a firstborn is a type A personality. They actually had the most time with their mom and dad, so they tend to excel more. More pressure is put on them. They want the success. Their expectations are higher. They're kind of the guinea pig, which my sister's the firstborn. She will definitely testify to that. She's a guinea pig, didn't like that.
Yes.
They tend to be perfectionists, spotlights on them. They're very well organized, list makers. They tend to see things black and white.
Okay, and this is a little off topic because this is a different book I was listening to today, but it was so funny because the lady said, she's a firstborn, and she was talking about like her characteristics, and she was like, if you're a firstborn, you understand the fear of if you leave the toilet seat up, your younger sibling's going to fall in and drown. So I just thought that was so funny.
Yeah, that is funny. Just the things they think through.
Yeah, you have a lot of pressure put on you.
Yes.
I remember like my older sister teaching me how to tie my shoes and how to do all this. And I know the book explains that a lot of presidents are firstborns, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Or, which we'll get to as well, they're the first male, even though they have an older sister, so that makes them a first child in a sense. But yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And the birth order is important to understand, like, why people react the way they do.
Yes.
What their characteristics are. So, and they're similar, like the disc profile or like your Enneagram number, like all of that is important to understand different people.
Yes.
And I mean, like firstborn, they're stubborn, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
They are. So what's a secondborn?
Okay, so a secondborn. So the middle children, they are the hardest to navigate, which I know you and I are both the middle child in our families. And there's not as much information on us as there are the first and the youngest, but basically we are great at negotiating. We want peace, and we're usually that go-between with our siblings, which I definitely was as well.
Between the older and the younger,
yes. Absolutely. But hey, we love loyal friends. That's something that means a lot to us. We're great compromisers and usually get along with firstborns and youngest, actually, just because we're so easy to get along with. We're least likely to be noticed missing. Which cracks me up. But it's sad, right? That's so sad.
Which is so true. I did get left twice. At my church, like we ran a bus route, and like my mom literally took attendance to make sure everyone was on the bus. And
she lost
twice
her own
I got left. I saw the bus like going down the road, and I was left at the church. And that was before cell phones. It was traumatic.
What did you do?
Well, one time I like tried to like run the bus down, but that did not work out very well.
That's rough.
And then the second time I just like walked back into the church because I knew they would be there for the evening service. So in my mind,
Someone
I was
will
like,
claim me.
yes, eventually they'll be back. But they did notice, like they got to the end of the block and they came back. But yeah, so
Gotcha.
Point proven. Yes,
it's so true. Yeah. But we're independent. We're more secretive, which I would also agree with.
Yes.
We're surprised when someone wants to pay attention to us. We avoid conflict. We're the hardest to pin down out of all of the birth orders. We're very competitive, which I never really realized that about myself because I'm not into sports. But when it's game night with my family, it's like a whole different side of me comes out, and I have to I can't play games because I'm just too competitive. But we are not pushed as hard or expected to accomplish as much as our older sibling.
Interesting.
So yeah, it just kind of decreases there, I guess. Yeah. But with middle children, we make great entrepreneurs.
Ooh.
Which I think is very true in your family.
Yes.
So that's really cool.
Yes. My brother and I are both middle children. Yes. And then we both run, he's definitely an entrepreneur. He started many businesses.
Yeah.
But I run a real estate business. So yeah, that's very true.
So I thought of you for sure.
Thank you. I was thought of. It means a lot to a middle child.
It does.
Okay. In the book too, though, they say that you can tell a firstborn by their hair. And then you can tell a secondborn. Do you remember that part?
I don't.
Okay, so the firstborn, and this is 100% true in my family.
Okay.
The firstborn is like very perfect hair. And that is my sister. Every hair needs to be just perfect. Me, I love my hair wild. Like I love, it's not now, but I love doing that like beach wave and like the bigger my hair, the better.
Lots of volume.
Yes.
I like
and
the
my
teaser.
sister will be like, oh, you went for the big hair today. And I'm like, oh, it's not big enough. Like I could just go for the crazy hair.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's just a characteristic trait by your birth order, right? It's so funny.
Never knew that. That's pretty cool. And with the middle children, Mark Zuckerberg, which Facebook and how big that is.
Yes.
He's a middle child entrepreneur right there.
Interesting.
Who else? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
which makes sense because what he was trying to do with his life goal, his mission was to create peace. So that makes sense right there. Yeah,
it does.
Isn't that kind of cool?
That is.
Who else? George Bush. And then we have some other...
Which George Bush is a president, so that's interesting that he was a second born.
Exactly.
Because it's not as most presidents are
they're firstborn.
Yeah.
Hey, girlfriends, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast today. We are grateful to have you here.
We are Girlfriends Just Talking. We want to encourage women to live an intentional, powerful, positive, and spirit-filled life.
Come check us out over on Instagram and Facebook, where we have a community of women encouraging other women. We'll see you there.